Good afternoon, my snacks. Welcome back. My name is Jack, and today's a good day. This has got to be the best revenge story I've ever come across. It began 6 days ago, and I have been waiting, holding off on the edge of glory for an update. And yes, finally they have done so. So let's dive straight in. It starts as, soon everyone will know he's been messing with his stepmother and stepsister. That's right, little boys. Turns out pornos can come true. For a little while, I've suspected my husband of cheating. I didn't have any justification for thinking or feeling this way, but I couldn't stop having this gut feeling that something was wrong. So, I decided to keep a closer eye on him, and I still found nothing. And for a long time, I was angry with myself for suspecting him and for invading his privacy. We went to marriage counseling, and I apologized for breaking his trust in me, and for a little while, all was well. I can't believe I apologized to that lying sack of Schmidt. But that wretched feeling never went away. I tried so hard to get over this feeling that he was deceiving me in some way, and I just couldn't. So I decided it was time to hire a private investigator instead of playing Inspector Gadget myself. It truly is the worst thing, because any other person would say to themselves, okay, maybe it's definitely just a me thing. I've found no evidence, we've gone to counseling together. If I'm still feeling this way, surely it's just me and my own skepticism and anxiety, but nope, turns out, well, this story just proves to everyone out there, you are right to have trust issues. Yay! Let me tell you, this was the best thing I ever spent money on. Within a month, the PI was able to confirm my suspicions, but it was a shock to find out that it was his stepsister and stepmother. Not only that, but he may be the father of his stepsister's newborn baby. I could have killed him, but I kept my composure, and I kept this information to myself, and continued to act as normal as possible. Believe me, that was a very difficult thing to do. I slowly started detaching from him, and even moved into our spare bedroom, and we continued to drift apart. I moved out, got a new job, and started saving money for our divorce. I got my life in order. And that's really got to be the final nail in the coffin that what you're doing is the right thing. When you would go through this process of literally moving into a spare bedroom and not mention that your husband at all tried to stop you from doing this? Oh, what a great catch when fishing. Don't throw it back in the water though. No, let it suffer. Let it struggle. Now, here we are, almost a year later and in the final stages of our divorce, and I've still not told anyone. I've spent the last year preparing for our divorce because I'll be damned to leave this marriage empty-handed. I wanted to handle our financial affairs first because my husband works for his father, and I didn't want to leave him unemployed during our divorce process. Well, this son of a see you next Tuesday dragged out our divorce and fought me for everything, even things that were mine to begin with, but I kept my calm, and I won't say a word until I get everything I deserve. That's when I'll tell his father. And his father is not a man to be messed with. I've been assured the check will clear in 3 days, or less, and it's over for Robert, because as soon as that money hits my account, his mother, stepmother, stepsister, brother-in-law, and father will receive a beautifully written email with pictures and videos of what he has been up to. His dad will tear him apart. Count your days, Robert! Now, you may have a sense of deja vu with this story because we did come across a similar event last year in September. Someone posting on r/showoffmychest about how she was planning to ruin her husband, expose him for the cheating scumbag he was, but unfortunately, within 24 hours of it being posted, her husband got word of the story, clearly noticed that all the little references were about him, freaked out, and she failed in the revelation. So all I can say is fingers crossed this goes right. And so in the edits, I got my money, time to send it. 2, his stepmother and stepsister do not know about each other. I don't know how long he has been intimately involved with them, both, but I do know it started in adulthood for all involved, which should at the very least ease that feeling that he was possibly groomed by his stepmother being a pedophile. So, yay! That positive spin! And of course, the day this was posted, everyone is begging for an update, and begging we did. For an entire week, we eagerly waited on our laptops and computers and other smartphone devices. And like the gracious God, the sweet honeyed spice is they update us. I can't seem to access my original account, so here I am. Immediately suspicious this is just someone trying to jump on the bandwagon, but yeah, let's just pretend it's not, just in case. Let's clear some things up. When Robert's father remarried, Robert was already a 30-year-old man. So no, he wasn't groomed. And his stepsister was 31 when she met him. Again, no one here is being abused. All involved were already well into adulthood when meeting and when they started to frick around. And now they're gonna find out. As for the money, well, honey, that's money he owed me, but was being a dick about giving it back. I invested in his business ventures and he refused to pay me my share. And that's not Schmidt I was willing to let slide. You can't get a broke man to pay his debt. So frick yes, I wasn't going to let him be unemployed during our divorce. So the aftermath. I sent the email as soon as I saw the money had hit my account. The first to call me was Robert, and I picked up. First words out of his mouth was, "You evil-ass bitch!" I replied with, "Your mama!" as I ended the call. The second person to call me is the stepsister's husband. He was just heartbroken. He asked me a ton of questions, and he asked for my divorce lawyer's information. We also discussed him getting a DNA test for all their kids. Well, through the brother-in-law, I found out that there was an all-out war between the stepmother and father-in-law. He tried to kick her out, but she locked herself up in the bedroom. While the father-in-law was throwing her Schmidt outside, the stepmother-in-law called her daughter for help. So then at some point, stepsister and stepmother got into a fight. See, little boys, pornos do come true. The fight was so bad that the neighbors called the police. In the scuffle to separate mother and daughter, they hurt one of the police officers and were arrested. They are still in jail because neither of them have anyone willing to bail them out. The following day, I got a call from Robert telling me that his daddy almost ran him over. So he wanted to come stay with me because he's scared that his daddy or brother-in-law will try to beat his butt again. Robert is scared to go home. His dad and brother-in-law are pretty much camped outside of his place and have already jumped him twice. Robert is terrified. He tried to stay with his mother, and she told him that he had made his bed and should now lie in it. Oh, and FYI, I am not done with Robert yet. I've got more planned for him. What more could you do, though? This isn't just ruining a Christmas. You've turned everyone in that family out for blood. I mean, justifyingly so. I don't blame them for all hating each other now. However, despite the horrible being that Robert has been, some people are sympathetic and do offer some things that, you should at least go out of your way after doing the damage you've done. I think you should let him stay with you and invite the father-in-law and brother-in-law. Then go to the supermarket. Go and grab a bag of popcorn. He fucked around in size and got found out in size. Kinda brutal, but good on you, OP, for maintaining composition during the proceedings until you could enact this. I don't think many could have, and would have, gone nuclear much sooner. You gotta absolutely agree with that, because remember, this was a divorce that was going for over a year, and that was just initiating the divorce. That wasn't the hiring of a PI, finding out the truth of it all, and then slowly moving away from him before then going through a divorce. I imagine this was probably like at least a year and a half. And the fact that there's still a part 3 to come, my goodness. For now though, let's calm the frick down and move on to another story. Now tell me, my snack, would you be the a-hole for telling your kid's babysitter that it was inappropriate to shower in your home? I hired a babysitter for my 5 and 3-year-old kids 2 weeks ago. My husband works shifts while I work long hours at a marketing company. So far, we've had no issues till yesterday. I came home at 6 p.m. and noticed the babysitter's wet hair and new clothes. She told me she took a shower after one of the kids spilled milk on her. I was confused, but visibly upset, but she tried to reassure me the kids were fine, because my husband watched them while she took her shower, which only lasted a few minutes. I was more confused that my husband was home when he had a shift to cover. Well, I told her I didn't think it was appropriate of her to shower in my home like that. She argued that it was fine and that she had no choice and couldn't leave the milk on her like that. Well, we argued, and my husband heard the commotion and got involved. He said that it was not a big deal, as I was making it out to be, but I told the babysitter that I did not appreciate how she basically ignored how I felt about this and dismissed my feelings too. Unlike me, the OP, who was dismissing her feelings and ignoring the necessity of showering when you've got milk all over you. What the hell? She went home, but we still argued on the phone. She thinks she's done nothing wrong, and I said I was being unfair when I mentioned potentially cutting from her salary after that. My husband keeps saying that I'm overreacting and the poor girl couldn't handle having milk stains on her body and clothes, but I couldn't help but feel it was inappropriate and she should have checked with me. So am I the a-hole for my reaction? Just for more info, I'm the one who pays her, not my husband. I told her to call or text, always available if anything happens. I didn't even know my husband was home at the time. If you noticed, I said that I argued with her even before she told me my husband was home. And no, I didn't know how big the stain was, but she argued about being covered in milk for 6+ hours. As for the question of why my husband didn't go to work, he said he was feeling a bit sick and swapped shifts with a coworker. The babysitter is 24. She said she has experience, and yes, she normally brings a bag of clothes, wet wipes, and stuff like that with her. So obviously, listening to the story, you're kind of skeptical, aren't you? About the husband here? The change of clothes? But as it says here in the comments, now do you think there is another reason why she felt comfortable enough in your home to shower and argue back with you? Like, why did she have extra clean clothes with her? In my opinion, you should fire her immediately and keep an eye on your husband, not the a-hole. With an edit, okay, fair point on sitters having extra clothes with them. It's been a minute since I had a toddler. Still seeing red flags with the arguing back and the husband home early though. Also, not only this, but as a babysitter to young kids, you expect to get dirty and wait to shower at your own home. Nata. And of course, this theory of a cheating partner is definitely going to the top thoughts. You hired a babysitter, your husband was at home when he was supposed to be working, and babysitter went to clean up. I'm seeing a potentially bigger problem here, OP. Yeah, info, how long has your husband been having smecks with the babysitter? But some Utah thoughts, you were visibly upset that she cleaned up after your kid spilled milk on her. Also, what in the fresh hell is this statement? I mentioned potentially cutting from her salary after that. Look, you'll be lucky if she ever comes back, and if she does, count your lucky stars, apologize profusely, and check in with yourself on why this made you so irrationally angry. My guess is, you don't trust your husband. Yata. The further you go down though, the more skeptical people are that this is not simply a case of someone just being annoyed that their babysitter is showering, but slight paranoia that their man was possibly the one that spilt the milk himself. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Either way, assuming that that definitely isn't the case, do you still think she's the a-hole here, or do you think she's right to be upset that this woman is taking liberties with her job responsibility? After all, we get messy at work all the time, depending on what kind of job you have. But then to counter that point, a lot of jobs that do get dirty often have showers and let you shower if needed. So I don't know, I still have to think Yatar after all this, but either way, I'm sure we'll get a lovely Redditor update in the future about this, revelation of infidelity. Fingers crossed that it's not, though. Wishing the best for you. For now, though, let's move on to a story where that has already happened, and said a-hole husband is getting their just desserts. I cheated on my wife 3 years ago. She agreed to forgive me if we opened the marriage, but now I live in agony every day. So, basically, my wife found out that I, 41, have been hooking up with a woman I met online who lived 2 hours away. When the woman visited, we checked into a hotel. This went on for 3 months, and we had met a handful of times when my wife caught us. She was waiting in the hotel lobby and saw us coming down from the room. She left me the next day. We separated for 8 months, and they were terrible on all of us, especially the children, 9, 7, and 3. We started talking about getting back together. My wife thought that since our intimate life wasn't enough for me, and that she was sure I will cheat on her again, we might as well open the marriage. I told her no, because I've learnt my mistake, but she wouldn't waver. I relented. We decided, well, she did, not to tell each other the when, where, and with whom. Truly the foundations of all successful happy relationships, reluctantly pushing each other into doing things that aren't at all together. Now, over 2 years later, we are back to normal on the outside. On the inside, I'm dying a little each day. Every time I see her happy, I wonder if this is just her old bubbly self, or if she is thinking of someone. She is a very beautiful woman, and I'm sure she has no problems finding men who want her. Wow, look at that thought you should have had before you even ever dared to cheat. Whenever she takes a shower after coming home, whenever she rejects my advances, I think that she has been with someone, and that kills me. I have tried to discuss closing the marriage again, but she shuts these attempts very quickly with the divorce card. Before all this happened, we had amazing intimacy several times a week, but now we have probably done it 4 to 5 times these past 3 years. She demands I use protection, and she refuses to let me eat her or make her finish in any way. I stopped asking because the intimacy is painfully bad now. I haven't slept with anybody else because the look on my wife's face in that lobby still makes me sick with guilt. I don't know how much more I can take. I love my wife, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. Will she ever stop punishing me? Have you ever forgiven a cheating spouse and stopped punishing them? What's going on in her head? Now, the biggest problem with ever confessing to being a cheating scumbag on Reddit is that no one really focuses on your problems. They're too busy trying to highlight the fact that you deserve this. Before you cheated, you guys had amazing intimacy several times a week. You love your wife and you want to spend the rest of your life with her. You guys also got 3 young kids. So why in the frick did you cheat? For 3 months. Yep, and only until he got caught. Probably would have been a lot longer if he wasn't found out. Yeah, no question. He stopped because she caught him and there were consequences. That's the only reason. Now he wants to bitch about the consequences his schmitty actions brought. He deserves to live in misery until she kicks his butt to the curb. And it's true, she's probably only with him for the kids right now and getting her needs met elsewhere. Another good point that he just wanted the thrill of an affair. If she hadn't opened the marriage but stayed, he would have cheated again. The sneaking around was fun for him. Wife ruined it by saying it was okay. No sneaking necessary. Once a cheater, always a cheater. But you can't cheat if you have permission. Wow, so essentially his wife did a Jerry on him, being a Beth. Wife got everything she wanted. He's miserable all the time, she gets to sleep with anyone she wants, there's no messy divorce. Good for her. Dumps gold bar on the ground to pick up a pebble. But okay, open and shut case, this man fricked around, found out he's getting punished for it. For the sake of balance, and because this is someone just actually asking for some help about the situation, I think it's fair we actually see the other side of this. Because one thing we're going to point out here, okay, he was cheating for 3 months. Behind her back, yes, very scummy. She's essentially pitted him into the corner, saying if you want to be happy with your family again, you have to stay with us, and we get to see anyone we want on the side. Thing is, there's an implication with that if he gets back with his family, he's going to get back to the experience over time that he originally had with his family. But he doesn't get that. He doesn't get a wife that is actually being there with him in the relationship like she was in the past. Again, yes, I know he cheated on her in the past, but again, this is also something that they were going to be working through together. It seems like this is more of a case where she's wanting to just hurt him forever now. She hasn't actually moved on. She doesn't plan to move on. And, well, I just think this comment here dives into it a bit better. Honestly, if I was in your position, I'd leave. Probably almost nobody has dated high-level professionals here on Reddit, but it sounds pretty damn lonely to me. Most doctors do not have a lot of time. Is cheating warranted? Well, no. But nobody anywhere has noted, oh, that must be pretty lonely. I mean, I don't know the situation, but the doctors I know have minimum amounts of work, and the doctors who are mums usually still are overworked, and it takes away from the family. Essentially, you're understanding him, but you're not excusing him. I'd leave because although what you did was really schmitty, the reaction is not proportional. Now she's just abusing you, basically. This is psychological torture. This is her calling it an open relationship, but really, she's just vindictively cheating on you and refusing to give you an ounce of compassion. You didn't deserve it when cheating, but you deserve it when your wife, who continues to remain your wife, treats you like garbage every day for years. More importantly, your children, because hey, this is a marriage with kids, we should consider the children. Your children can still have a very functional and good life with a 2-home situation. And quite frankly, so can you and her, separately. And seriously, I don't care how guilty you feel, get legal support and get out. This is still wrong no matter how this started. People who love each other do make mistakes. People who love each other do what they have to do to fix those mistakes. This isn't love. This is just plain abuse now. I'll go a step further and call what he did extremely schmitty. His wife had every right in the world to leave him, but for her to psychologically abuse him like that for years is disproportionate punishment and quite sick. The fact that so many comments are vicariously enjoying his suffering goes to show how many hurt people there are in the world who would love to dish out this kind of long-term revenge, this psychological torture. Now maybe it's because I spent the last 5 minutes scanning through all these comments and finding like 99% of them being constantly bagging out this guy for being a scumbag who deserves what he's getting. It is a weird, refreshing drink of water to see an opinion that is so thought out that is on the complete other end of this. And with most of it, I have to agree. After 3 years, I feel this goes beyond the point of it still being your own fault and blah blah blah. Like again, an open marriage is still a marriage. You're still with your partner. You still owe your partner your attention, your affection, your love. She is refusing to give this. This isn't an open marriage anymore. This is you, again, getting your just desserts, but you are not at all getting what she was originally promising you, or at least not what you thought she meant. Regardless, let me know what you think though. I do feel like we need to focus on the kids more in this as well. The whole fact that, yeah, just leave already. You don't need to be together in a marriage to have a happy relationship with your kids and give them a good upbringing, etc. Many separate families are successful families. So with that said, let me know your thoughts down below and we'll move on to the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my stepdaughter speak at my husband's funeral? I'm a 35 female. Husband of 9 years just passed away from a pulmonary embolism. Besides me, he leaves behind our 8-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter. My late husband was a doctor who had a very popular practice in our town. We live in a small town in the Great Plains area, notorious for having a few options for good quality healthcare because of a provider shortage. After his death, we received an outpouring of condolences from the community. I was receiving dozens upon dozens of messages from people who wanted to talk about the time he treated them or a family member, and ended up releasing them from their payment plans when they encountered financial hardship. There were also letters thanking me and my husband for those times we postponed our vacations so he could rush to a patient's side and be there for them. His funeral was today, and I was home inviting his patients and friends, asking them if they wanted to speak, and preparing my own eulogy. When my husband died, my 13-year-old stepdaughter was with us, but right afterwards, she went to her mother's, who's 53's, house. My son and daughter obviously still live with me, and because we are under the same roof, I was able to incorporate them into my speech where they'd stand with me, and at the end, they could both say how much their dad meant to them, what they loved to do with him, their fondest memories, how they'd miss him. My stepdaughter wasn't in the house when any of this was going on. However, after her mum called me, I told them the date and time of the funeral, and invited both of them. Wow, how generous of you to invite family to the funeral. You're so amazing. Her mum called me yesterday morning to tell me my stepdaughter had a 2-minute speech prepared for her dad and emailed me the entire speech. I was very shocked because it seemed my stepdaughter just expected to be able to speak at the funeral and not tell me this during the 7+ days prior. Second, her speech was rather long and had a lot of the things that my kids were going to be saying. When her mum suggested that she just stand with her half-siblings and add in the parts that would not be a repeat, I refused because my son is new to speeches and changing things up was probably going to confuse him. Mother, what is this? A third sentence? How could you? I specifically requested only 4! Mother, don't you see? You've ruined me! You've ruined me in front of everyone! I told my stepdaughter's mum that she could be there to grieve her dad, but she could not speak. She got mad and said I was hard to reach and that nothing in her speech was inappropriate and that 2 minutes was not too long, even if the other speakers would be shorter. I agreed that I am sure her speech would have been lovely, but it was too late, and I couldn't risk the situation throwing the event off and giving my kids confusion since we rehearsed our eulogy. Just gonna highlight the fact that she's calling this funeral an event? Bit of a weird word that's usually used for things you celebrate or are excited to go be a part of. So the funeral was today and my stepdaughter did not speak, but even after I allowed her to be among us and receive condolences from the line of friends and family, my parents are calling me an a-hole, and my stepdaughter's mum glared at me on the way out. Am I the a-hole? So it seems to take getting actual spit from her superiors that she actually ponders if she's being morally correct. It left many wondering if this was actually even legitimate, because how can you be this horrible of a person? But our friend Monsieur Prady offers some insightful analytics about the behavior of OP throughout all this that really shows that, yeah, okay, no, this is probably legitimate. And if it is fake, well, it's written by someone who knows quite a bit on how people with narcissistic personality disorder could behave. So yeah, take that how you will. Might be fake, might be real, but that is basically the gospel of every single story on the internet, so what can you do? But yes, top thought is you're the a-hole. Your stepdaughter lost her father at the age of 13 and wants 120 seconds to express how much she loves and admires him, and you said no. I try to cut grieving people a lot of slack, but this is absolutely horrible, and I really hope someday you give her the apology she deserves. Though there is some sympathy. You are literally worse than Hitler? Oh, okay, never mind. Anyway, abruptly, that is the end of today's video. Got to cut it a bit short today because I realized it's gone a bit over and I've got to race over to other things. Anyway, love your face. Thank you so much for watching today's video all the way through. You are an amazing person and I love your face. I already said that. Whoopsies. Blah, drink water. That's the thing I forgot to say. But until next time, you be good and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.